We thought that in this specific date, a special date, we wanted to share with everybody that has helped, everybody that have helped us to make this dream reality, to share with you what we're doing and what we want to do in the next few years. It is an event that we've prepared with a lot of affection. We've called it Beyond, based on an objective that we have, which is to be able to lead the space industry from the continent of Europe. If you remember, at PLD Space, we said we were a micro-launching company, a European micro-launching company. Today, you're going to see that we are going to show a new version, what we've done in this last year since the launch of MIURA 1, but especially what we want to do in the next 10 years. We understand that space has a roadmap measured in decades as far as technological development is concerned, and we have to convey our activity by measuring the next steps to be taken. You're going to see what the development of MIURA 5, and in a very honest way, we want to share with you our plans. In a very honest and sincere way, we're going to share what we're convinced that we can do, and especially what we would like is, well, we're going to target the moon. We don't want to stare at the finger. We want to dream. We've been developing MIURA 1 and MIURA 5 insofar as this dream is becoming a reality, and this industrial activity that we're carrying out, well, it's very important to activate and expand this management space and this operational space, and that's why we're going to share with you. The event is called Beyond because there are three areas or three objectives that we're going to talk about. We talk about now, new, and next. Now is what we're developing now, what we've got on the table in an immediate fashion, the technological development, the activity of MIURA 5, that we have our teams here with all of you, and for them this is their daily work. We are developing tests or specific tests in subsystems, and we're going to proceed to integrate the first unit of MIURA 5 and have it available at the end of 2025 as planned. We're going to talk about new as well. We are thinking about the evolution 1.1, 1.2 of MIURA 5, the technological developments that we are progressing with. You know that we have also a demo, and we have an evolution towards commercial flights and the following our subsequent technologies and how the performance is going to improve. But we didn't want to forget talking about next, what comes after MIURA 5. No, we're not going to say too much, but it's not the last one. It's not the latest or the biggest of the rockets that we want to manufacture. We have a very ambitious vision, and this starts from this corporate overview that we have as a company. The company was founded in 2011. So far, we have 155 million euro in fundraising with a large amount of equity. We have some investors present here today. Some others are following us on streaming. Thank you so much for your trust, because we feel that we have this responsibility to give you a return on your investment and your expectations, and we believe that we're capable of responding from the private sector with the difficulties that are characteristic of this in industry. And this is a new strategy and we're doing it from the private sector, I insist, to complement what is being made elsewhere. We've also have a debt. For the first time, we've managed to fund as a result of participating in the PERTE, the Strategic Project for Economic Recovery and Transformation, the delivery of a prototype with a commercial sale or purchase developed through the public procurement purchasing. We have commercial funding. We're the first launcher that has a debt for an activity of this, and this backup for this support from the banks is something that we are very grateful for. We have ordinary revenue, and we have some subsidies, not much, but we've had some subsidies because our view has always been to develop the activity from an independent point of view with as much agility as possible, and always preserving the technological roadmap of the program that is linked when achieving any activity within the institutional programs that is very much related to limited resources that we had. There are 254 employees. 1/3 of us are here. Please, a round of applause for the team. We want to hear the team present. The other day we were saying in the meeting, this is a message for you in the program meeting. We are sharing with everybody that is helping us to develop this program. We are very happy to rely on people that commit their lives to come here to Elche. This team is a very competitive team that is very much committed to the activity we're developing. We have people from 17 nationalities. We still have 15 new people joining the company every month. So about 70 people will join the company before the end of the year. Always quality above quantity, but we've had a successful flight, suborbit flight that is part of the strategy, and we understand this is the adequate strategy to position ourselves as a competitive company in 3 years' time, not launching rockets, but making money of this, being cost efficient or profitable. We have carried out we started our commercial activity at the beginning of this year, what we call in commercial interest, 596 million euros, and this shows that these are not contracts that have been signed. We could have contracts for specific launch dates that we understand that we have to be conservative when signing these contracts. Now we are able to start to sign these contracts or confirm these launch dates when we are 18 months prior to the launch, so we'll be soon be able to do so and to be able to cover this manifesto in a way that is agile with launches that can be covered in the first years of this cadence, launch cadence. We have 188,000 square meters of infrastructures. Today is a great opportunity for you to see our facilities. We've been for 3 weeks in these facilities. The industrial activity has been working for 5 months, developing very progressively. It has been very costly, very hard work has been put into this, but we have here our engineering team, all the teams from support, manufacturer, and we'll also want to greet our team in Teruel. The activities that we're developing in our test benches are essential. We have these 3 facilities. We're present in 2 countries. We also have PLD Space France to be able to channel our activity. Why or what makes us unique or what makes us different? Many times investors ask this, what is our DNA? What's the PLD Space DNA? And we like to say that the first factor makes us different is between our ears, is the way we think, the way we interact among ourselves, the way in which we behave, the way in which we like to enjoy space and live space. We think a business model that regarding space, well, there are many people that have been developing space operations for decades, and then mankind arrived to the space 50 years ago, and this is a mature technology, but it keeps on getting more complicated owing to costs, deadlines, and demand levels, or to be able to access space in a competitive way. And this complexity is what we want to address from the private sector in an independent way, with the same quality levels, but with costs and deadlines that are more agile. This way of working, we understand, is the main value. This mindset is the first value, top value that we can contribute, and it's some kind of tsunami that has been taking place in the industry for 10 years that have modified the competitiveness criteria, and there are many players that we are now discovering or finding out the way to proceed. We understand that this culture, this team spirit is essential to distribute this activity that is very intense as far as commitment and devotion is concerned. That's what the team does, and I would like to thank all the team for this. This organization is being set up from the bottom to the top, bottom-top approach. I see here people that launched MIURA 1, and I see that they are the leaders for tomorrow. These people that have this are able to manage business in an efficient way, and that will be able to face future challenges that we're going to share with all of you. Within this aim or objective to develop the activity with the necessary determination and the speed that we need, which is the market is very competitive, and this is the way that we need to access the market. We need to respect some deadlines and quality levels on time, on quality, and on cost. That is our aim. It's quite complicated to reach on quality. Quality for us is something that is, for us, is very, very important. From a security and safety level to fulfill all the standards, we need to make efforts to comply with this on time. We need to be on time because time is key to be able to access to the opportunities that the market gives us, and then on cost. This is where what I like to highlight. In the industry, there are actors or stakeholders that had roles and that now are not competitive anymore. And this is very painful to say, but we should not ignore it because that's even worse. Europe needs a prime player that can contribute a competitive solution to be able to compete with the US that has a market share that is super relevant, and other players like China, India. Some of them have that capacity and others can develop that commercial capacity. That can be very complicated to allow for that access, and that's where PLD Space decides to play that leading role. I'd like to go back to 11 years ago when the company was set up. 12 years. We have the two Rauls here, and they had a dream, co-founders, they had a dream, and it looked impossible to develop or to make it true, but what we've been doing is to execute, and we want to go back. And our idea is that at the end of the event today, we want to reset up the company, to go back to that year when we put forward a proposal that looked crazy, but that has been made and it's true now, and we want to have that delivery mindset to be able to deliver on what we've promised. And what we're doing today is we're being prudent, careful, honest, but we're going to talk about what we're going to do and request your help for this. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be with you today. I'm Miguel López Alegría. This space sector is developing, and I'm convinced that I'm sure that PLD Space is going to be a very important actor or stakeholder in Europe and in the world. I've always trusted in engineers, Spanish engineers, directors, managers, and I trust that you are going to be able to be very successful in the future. I think that you're going to hear some important pieces of news, and I wish you all the best for the future, and I'd like to greet you from here.
Michael tenía previsto poder estar hoy.
Michael wanted to be here with us today, but he couldn't make it, so he sends this video. We're very grateful. He was mentioning the launching of MIURA 1. 1 year ago, we launched MIURA 1, and that's a milestone. That first private launch of a European private company. This was something that we lived very intense. We're going to recall the way we lived it. I'm sure you'll all remember what you were doing when MIURA 1 was launched, and we're going to have a look at it.
Esto nos da la fortaleza y la confianza de que somos capaces de enfrentarnos a hacer cualquier reto, ¿no? Cuando planteamos MIURA 1, cuando se funda la compañía en 2011, era imposible, ¿no? Según la voz de los expertos. Lo que estamos planteando hacer en el futuro, hay mucha gente que va a decir que es imposible, pero imposible no hay nada.
Vista atrás, estos últimos 12 años culminan con ese lanzamiento de MIURA 1 y lo que ponen de manifiesto es que la idea loca hace 12 años de desarrollar un cohete y lanzarlo al espacio sí se puede.
¿No? El peráspera de Astra, ¿no? Lo tenemos ahí como muy interiorizado y creo que sí que sería que va a ocurrir, que al final es una generación, ¿no? Que recordará qué estaba haciendo, cómo se lanzaba el cohete, que se pueda hacer y que pueda servir un poco para inspirar y que haya vocaciones científicas, tecnológicas y que le demos continuidad a los proyectos, ¿no?
Cuando ves que todo lo que has calculado, todo lo que has simulado y analizado se está cumpliendo exactamente como te esperaba, en ese momento tienes el corazón que está bombeando fuera del cuerpo.
O sea, el cohete estaba haciendo lo de la simulación y justo por el centro de la huella, o sea, es que, pues eso, increíble, o sea, no nos lo creíamos, superó todas nuestras expectativas.
Y sí, hicimos la cuenta atrás y bueno, yo cuando llegamos a cero y eso se le paró, yo ya no me acuerdo de más. Ya no miré pantallas.
Lo que veíamos era una bola de fuego subiendo hacia arriba. Y claro, la gente estaba flipando, o sea, completamente, quiero decir, tanto Rui como yo, como los marineros, como los buzos, están diciendo no he visto esto en mi vida y no sé si lo volveré a ver.
Solamente lo podemos conseguir entre todos y es ser la compañía tecnológica europea de referencia. Ese mensaje.
This message was conveyed by Raúl the same day of the launch by streaming that will to be the leading company from this side of the Atlantic in this space sector. This is what we conveyed to the team, and this is what we've been doing with the team. If we look back and we see what we've done the last year, well, we've done many things. We're used to moving very quickly and advancing very quickly, but we're going to see some of the milestones that we've achieved in this last year since the launch, that when we saw it ourselves, we were impressed. This launch of rocket in Europe.
Difficult moment for Europe, and so it's very important.
Great picture for you this morning. Europe's first fully private.
Spain has launched Europe.
Spanish company successfully launched the country's first.
Sabéis que además todo esto viene con fondos de la cooperación, con el dinero que ha venido de Europa.
Extreme expensive facility takes like 1.5 years for design and building. Now we're in the process of
develops into the future. So I really see PLD Space to go up in terms of having increased payloads.
ha puesto en marcha el programa MIURA 5 Space.
Muy bien, pues esto es lo que nos trae hasta
Okay,
aquí.
this is what has led us to this point. What we want to tell you about is what the real situation is of the state of technology. We're going to start with now. I'm going to introduce you and present MIURA 5.
contamos con Raúl.
And now Raúl is coming to stage. Hi. Okay. Good morning, and thank you very much for coming. I'm going to try to explain things about rockets so that you can all understand it and not go into too much detail. That's what the technical team is for. MIURA 5 is the end of Raúl's dream and my dream as when we created PLD Space, and we had the idea of creating a rocket. At that moment, the idea was to have a smaller rocket, and the idea was to launch small satellites. But during these years, we have realized that this service is necessary, and thanks to many investors that have analyzed our business and have decided to invest, and with the government support and the support of many institutions, we are 1 year away of fulfilling that dream that started 13 years ago when the company was incorporated. MIURA 5 is 11 floors tall. So this is much bigger than MIURA 1. It's got a diameter of 2 meters. You can have an idea if you look at your right, those are the parts. It will have 2 stages. It's made up manufacturing aluminum and compound material. It uses RP1. It is sourced from natural sources, and it will enable the company to send satellites from small size, like a brick, to a small car. And that's very important because during the development or the evolution of mankind, satellites are used on a daily basis, and we don't realize that they're there. So that's why it is so important for those satellites to be out there to control the Earth or to help in different aspects. As I was saying, it's got 2 stages. It's got a fairing. This is the fairing. This is the tip of the rocket. This is a small one. This is not the real one. This is a simplified version. It is 1.5 meters shorter and longer, is shorter. And during the flight, the fairing is closed, but there's a moment when suddenly it opens and the rocket goes on flying. The first stage that you can see in the image has got 5 engines. That's why it is called MIURA 5. They are engines like the one you can see here. They are manufactured in aluminum, and they push the rocket, each of them 19 tons of thrust, and they enable us to send the rocket to the space. The second stage has a thrust of 7.5 tons. Triple C, this is the acronym of the first project or agreement that we signed at that time, Raúl and myself, with CDETI. And it's a 4th evolved engine. This was the engine that boosted MIURA 1. It's a proprietary design. It was created for serial production, and it enables us to have a good production pace to offer service for all launching services. So here you can see some parts so that you can understand the engine. What you see on your right is the combustion chamber. This is the material that's used for the chamber to be manufactured. It is being manufactured at this moment, and the same happens with the second stages. In fact, we took it out from the machine so that you can have a look at it. This is an engine that is 2 meters height. In fact, the base is as big as MIURA wants, and we produce it in a serial way. The second stage has got a smaller engine, and you can see the difference here. And the aim is to offer this thrust. You can see that the nozzle is bigger, and you can see that the lower cone is different. There's also something that we have developed in this engine, in both stages, and it's a new process that we believe is the first time that is used in our country. I'm going to try to use it to explain it in a simple way. I don't know if you can see some holes. This is electrodeposition process, and what we do with those parts to put copper and nickel atom by atom to get this geometry that you can see in the image, but with those different layers. This was developed in the 60s to take man to the moon. Engines that have been developed by SpaceX work like this, and the Ariane 5 engine used this system. So we have developed technologies. Here you can see the engine that it looks like a cylinder, but now we need a bigger engine and different features. Another technology that has been developed is turbo pumps. Within an orbital rocket, there's something that is essential, and it's the turbo pump. This is a group of engines, of pumps that works at a supersonic speed and that feed the engines. Here you can see some parts so that you can have a look at them. We have turbines from the second stage engines. This is the shaft, and this is a single shaft or single X-axis pump, or the oxygen pump of the second stage engine. This has been developed in our country, and we had a contract with CDTI. The first stage, each engine has a pump that has 1 megawatt of power, and it is manufactured with Inconel and aluminium. That's an alloy. And this is the turbo pump that's being tested in Teruel. It's called DM1, and now we are manufacturing the second part of these pumps that are going to be tested in 1 month. So they're going to be qualified in 1 month.
And I was reading a lot about the performance, MIURA 1 on the 7th of October. Congratulations, very well done. But now, today, when I'm here and see what happens, how dedicated the team is and how excellent the team is, I'm very impressed. I can only say that you are a great team, you are doing something incredible. Congratulations to have gone so far, and I really look forward to the next steps to come, of course, MIURA 5 and much more to come. So really very impressed.
Bueno, el director general de la ESA vino y nos visitó y bueno, lo que hicimos fue
enseñarles lo que... And he was shown what we are explaining to you today, what our future goals are, and what has been done in the last year, and what we want to do in the next 10 years. So our main goal with MIURA 5 is to ensure reliability, because a not reliable rocket is like a non-reliable plane. So it's thought to be mass-produced, and the mass production capacity is going to allow or enable the service to be cheaper, and that's key for the service to evolve. It's going to be easy to test. Here we test everything we produce, and that has helped us to learn everything we don't know about, and that's essential to improve. It allows you to work on cost efficiency, and that's essential. So from the point of view of that effort we're making, we work to get a reliable launcher prepared for tests with the highest quality and production standards. There's an anecdote I'm going to tell you. Traditionally, the aerospace sector prepares things for many years to manufacture a part, to test it, then you pray to the gods and you hope it not to break. And this is something that the new space sector has changed, and now it's going to test and test and test in a very cheap way to improve a design. In the development of MIURA 1, we learned something, and it's that liquid oxygen, it's a gas that's in a cryogenic state. It can leak. And we had some commercial valves that generated many problems. So we decided to manufacture our own valves. So we decided to manufacture this. I've got it in my hand. We thought we were going to do 2 or 3 iterations to get to this qualification design. We had to do 8 iterations. And the team has suffered so much because when a problem was solved, another one appeared. So we decided to iterate and working on performance, manufacturing, designing, in order to consolidate it. And the next step is to improve it, not for it to be a better bulb, but for it to be cheaper and easier to manufacture. So each team member is in charge of analyzing this. During this last year, we have grown a lot in engineering and design. And we have moved to these facilities. We have also planted the seed to grow. MIURA 1 was subcontracted, and that's the case too for MIURA 5. We have also had testing facilities. We are located in Teruel. We had to find new testing facilities because the previous ones were too small. In fact, we produced 3 MIURA 1s. The first one was tested and tested. The second one was the one that was used, and the third one is located at in the hall when you enter the company. And it shows that we faced many problems, but in the end we were successful. As for the design, it is a robust design. Raul doesn't like me to say this. This is not a perfect rocket because the market is not asking for perfection. What Raul says is that the rocket has to be sold, whether it is aluminum, whether it is a different type of carbon fiber. If it's not robust, people are not going to use it. And this comes from our learning process to develop a rocket. And sometimes we transfer technology directly from MIURA 1 to MIURA 5 as such. In other cases, it's not possible, and what we transfer is knowledge. We transfer software, modeling software, and what we've learned of something that didn't work properly, we have tried to solve it and to use it correctly. So we have worked for many years to have a sustainable and recoverable rocket. We have been collaborating with Repsol to work on biopropellants. We have worked on zero debris, so that once the satellite is released, the rocket is going to be divided into different pieces, and this is going to be recoverable and reusable. Then we're going to try to take it back to Earth, something that we have already tested. And this is going to have a higher scale economy. It's going to have an impact on sustainability. It will enable us to have a higher flight cadence. In this case, we'll see what happens when an 8th-floor building comes from space at a supersonic speed and it has to crash against the atmosphere. Let's hope it can cross it. This is the typical example of what a rocket does when it travels to space. There's a moment when it splits into two parts and it gets to the orbit, and then it goes down and it will splash down, and there will be a vessel and we will take it from the water. Something that seems to be very difficult to do. We have a Chinook helicopter from the Army. This is a contract from the European Space Agency to test the recovery operations of a first stage in the Atlantic Ocean, and we learned many things that we thought were going to be easy, but they were difficult in the end. From the point of view of production,
I've said we have our aims are mass production. We want to scale up our processes, and we're obsessed with quality control. These are our three main objectives, the three main objectives of the whole team. And well, at the end of the day, when we work with this automation of processes, especially in this last year, we've made an effort to have machines that can manufacture parts in an automated way, to advance in production techniques, for instance, additional manufacturing techniques that can be included in MIURA 5 that MIURA 1 didn't have, to test, and try to improve what had worked in MIURA 1, but we knew that could be improved, or something that didn't work, and that it's made in Elche. So this is something that is quite new.
No se imaginan la cantidad de
You can't imagine the amount of problems, the number of problems that there are behind these images. The team knows, but the aim of these facilities where we find ourselves now, a year ago when we launched MIURA 1 didn't exist. We needed to adapt them and to move here. We moved over 250 people, a machinery that is very, very heavy. And why did we do all this? To be able, on the one hand, to have the ability at the end of next year to produce 60 engines per year. This entails that we're going to increase the manufacturing capacity that Europe had by far. We don't manufacture engines for the sake of it, but because we need to get ready to be able to manufacture 6 rockets per year. And these are the ones that will start to bring return on investment with all the investments we've had, and the company will make the company sustainable with this launch service that Raúl and I have had always as our main goal since 13 years ago. Regarding testing, well, we needed larger test facilities, and we wanted to inspire our team to test things as if they were going to fly, test like you fly and test what you fly. We did this with MIURA 1, and we learned a lot. We learned things that on paper looked wonderful, that with 3D designs looked wonderful, that were assembled wonderful, but in a vibration testing they were broken. So we had phone calls really late. Torres, this is torn apart. What do we do? These were good news. We had problems, but they were broken here. If they break in a flight, that's a disaster. So we need to test. For those of you that don't know where we are, we're in Elche. We have Teruel at about a 3-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive, depending on how fast we drive, but they're close by. And this is something that is quite new in Europe. So far, the test benches or facilities in Europe, they're very far apart one from the other, and we wanted them to be close by because we wanted to test very frequently, very regularly. We are working, we're going to set one of the biggest and most powerful rocket testing premises in Europe to provide services to all these engines that we were talking about, and with the benches that we had available, they're going to be now available at the beginning of next year, and we'll give some information about this. But what we want is to have these facilities to increase the ability of testing for structures, for engines, and to collect data. We had problems with MIURA 1 because there was so much data that it was very difficult to manage them. So we've improved this as well. And as the company is growing, we've managed to have in context people designing test facilities, people designing parts. Sometimes when you have this number of people, it's not that easy or straightforward. Regarding launch, well, MIURA 5 will reach orbit from French Guiana Space Center. We want to start with the works at the end of this year. Why? For the rocket to be ready, the rocket and the launch pad to be ready at the end of last year. The Kourou station is where all European rockets lift off from, like MIURA 5. They have a roadmap that is very interesting to reduce environmental impact and have the interest to promote other players. And this spaceport has the capacity to include different types of commercial missions. If we go to polar orbits, equatorial orbits, all sorts of orbits can be launched from Kourou, from this station, because not all spaceports have this capacity. When we start manufacturing the facilities in the north at the top, we can see the launch area where we'll have the launch pad, MIURA 5, and below we'll have the preparation area where we have a hangar, while MIURA 5 will be assembled. We'll have the first stage in one place, the second stage, and then they will be put together. We'll check that everything will be fine, and then we go 2 kilometers up, and then 7 kilometers away we have the control area. Here in Huelva, the distance was different, and here we'll monitor the rocket in real time. This is going to start being built now. The engineering team is ready, and we've been working with the French Space Agency, and we're going to start working on this or building it very soon. What's the roadmap in the short term? Well, we have the end of this year. As Ezequiel was saying, we have to train the team and start building this spaceport in Kourou. We'll continue developing from a technological point of view, MIURA 5, testing, manufacturing, having lots of problems, sleepless nights. I'm warning my team. We'll have problems of all sorts, but we'll overcome them. And at the end of next year, we'll have an event like this one, and MIURA 5 will be here for you to see and be able to have a look at it. Raúl says, yeah, we want it to be ready, and Raúl says that we want to launch it, but first we have to have it ready at the 2025, 2026. And everyone from enthusiasts of space or freaks of the space, there's something that is the patch of the launch patch. We had one for MIURA 1 that, apart from selling it a lot, if we used it as leitmotif, we were part of this launch. We could show it, we can prove it. We'll have a countdown from 3 to 1 to 0, and we show the patch of the first attempt of MIURA 1. 3, 2, 1. Here it is.
Pues este es el parche que nos va.
This is the patch that will be with us from today until the first launch of MIURA 5. And to sum up, we have the European flag, this French flag, and the Spanish flag, because we're in Spain, we're in Europe, and also the French one because of the Guyana. We also have the palm tree from Elche and the palm tree from Kourou. We have palm trees all over the place, and also we have clovers. We have Madrid, Alicante, Teruel, Toulouse, Paris, and French Guiana. We have 5 stars that will be those 5 engines of the first stage that will hopefully thrust us to the mission. Please wish us luck, because we're going to go with this patch everywhere.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, team. It's a pleasure for me, Raúl, to listen to you. We'll all learn a lot from you regarding rockets. And rockets, what for? Well, rockets, what for? Well, we're a company for launching service, a transportation company like an airline, but instead of being a plane, it's a launcher that we develop at European level. Raúl mentioned, and he's already spoiled what I was going to say. The important thing is that we have our clients, our colleagues that are here today and connected through the internet. Well, our main aim is reliability. This is a race towards reliability. The time to market is very important. The time that it takes us to launch it, the pressure that we have to launch it as soon as possible, that's good. But we're never going to do that, make that important so that it can make us fail. No, we need all our time, because there are players that have failed in their first attempts and they're leaving the market. So we are committed to quality on testing a valve over and over again, all components. That was the key for MIURA 1 to fly correctly on the first attempt, and we want MIURA 5 to fly correctly at the third attempt, because we know that the first attempt is going to be difficult, but we have 2 testing flights to test valves, and we test the whole rocket, and if we do it correctly the first attempt, then that's going to be a major accomplishment. This is dedicated, very flexible. People that want a quotation to fly with us know that we understand that manufacturers of satellites, what they demand, because not only the rocket but the whole organization is thought to cater for our clients. We have commercial clients, we have brokers, we have space agencies, we have institutions that are going to require the launching of these satellites into the space, because without satellites we wouldn't be here today. Another advantage of using a small launcher that is available, another very important point is that the launcher has to be available. This manifesto that we have of launching 30 MIURA 5 per year. We have 6. Well, we need to reach 30. The aim to be in a recurrent way launching satellites from Europe with rockets made in Elche, as we were saying, and made in Teruel. Companies that are in the middle of a province that are competing with companies from all over the world. This is key. We have here the performance graph or chart. Here we have all the manufacturers that want the payload user guide. We have a pilot where we show an ensured performance. Pilot user guide. If this is all reliable, what we need to do is to improve in efficiency and to comply with this graph, that the parts have this cost and to fulfill our mission. What are we pushing? Well, our first flight is going to ensure this performance, but this is not going to be the performance of the flight number 10 or 15. We have a mission. This graph is going to be pushed forward, upwards, because with MIURA 5 we're going to increase the payload ability capacity, as Raúl was saying. This is the manifesto. I'm very proud we haven't changed this manifesto for about 18 months. We wish to keep the pressure of having the rocket on the pad at the end of next year, and very probable the first attempt will be in January, February 2026, but we want to keep the tension, the pressure, because we are a player that we want to be on time. I'm sorry, cancel your Christmas holidays, you guys, because no, I'm kidding. We need some rest as well. Or not. We'll see. If we're in the critical path, we'll see. This manifesto is very important. This industrial ramp-up to produce rockets in a successful way is what clients are demanding, and we need to take it one step at a time. From a commercial point of view, we have consolidated clients, our government that has ordered the first launcher unit from Excellence. We have them for small sats, and we have different Anian SPAS to work together for the launching of MIURA 5. And clients say, okay, we need the rocket on the pad because we want to fly with you. So we're all asking for their patience until we have all the systems, subsystems, and components to start operating with launching services. This program that I think you are all aware of, the Spark program, is the first thing that we're going to have on board MIURA 5. You know that MIURA 5, the first attempt, is very risky. We have this idea of managing to achieve it on the third attempt, and we have this payload capacity for the first attempts for the academia and for the younger ones. And here I want a big round of applause for the ambassador of the program, Sarah, that I'm sure you all know.
I think you already know her. She was selected as the European Space Astronaut Corps, and we heard that you are going to start training soon, and she's going to tell us about what the Spark program is about. Do you want to skip the slides? Okay, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to your house. I was willing to get to know the facilities. I'm super excited for the fact that I'm going to start training at the end of October. It's a dream because I'm going to be the first Spanish woman who's going to train as an astronaut. I want to thank the Ministry of Innovation, Science, Innovation and Universities, and I want to thank PLD, of course, and the Spark program. When you told me about it, I thought it was a marvelous initiative to encourage society to have big dreams. And you are experts in that sense. And a part of the Spark program, it's devoted for primary, secondary, and vocational training students for them to make technological innovation proposals. And I think this is ideal to encourage people to study STEM studies or degrees at university. How many candidates do we have? The team said that there are 98 candidates when this presentation was prepared yesterday, and we are amazed by the quality of the proposals that we have received. Students, primary students, and primary school teachers who are encouraging students to follow your steps. And one of the great challenges is offering launching services to all of the population, and it's been a success, and we're super happy. Here you can see the kind of institutions. There are many commercial operators who want to use this mission to test technologies that they're developing, but we also have universities, innovation and knowledge centers. Another important point is that we are promoting And I want to thank Sarah again because she's using her social media and her role. We are going to primary, secondary schools, to space camps, space summer camps. This is what Raul and myself, we did in the past. We used to work with rocketry in the weekends. And this is something that children love, and it's great to see how we receive emails to a corporate email, or we receive Twitter messages showing their projects. Yes, in fact, I've met different groups. I've get to know different groups of universities and friends who have told me, I know this park initiative, and it's great for them to have an opportunity because it's going to be possible for the projects to be sent to space. So Sarah, thank you very much. We wish you all the best in your training program. If you want to come here, we've got rockets available here. Good luck with MIURA and with the program. A big round of applause. And are you sitting down? Okay, yeah. And now we have talked about the now. As the president said, now we're going to head to the stars, and we have been working on this for a long time, and that's what we want to show you.
Os presentamos la tecnología.
This is the propulsive landing technology. We like to say that we always pay attention to details, and all of the technology developed for MIURA 1 has been implemented in MIURA 5, and all of the technology in MIURA 5 is going to be used in the next launcher that's going to be developed. And there are members of the board here. Within the annual budget, we devote effort to prepare the next step because we want to go on working and we want to go on developing the space sector. And we are going to develop recoverable launchers with a parachute, but this does not mean reusable. We've got a roadmap for the next few years that the first MIURA are going to be fully expendable, then they're going to be reused, recovered. It will be possible to recover them, and then they will be reused. Because if you don't follow this path, you're going to be out of the market. We have tested all of the re-entry of MIURA 1 and data from the ESA, and we can get to a gross margin of 60%. Does it mean we're going to be rich? No. This means prices are going to be reduced, but once they are lower, we need to have the infrastructure. And in the next 4 or 5 years, you're going to start seeing hoverings and how things are being developed to carry out the different tests. We've got a wonderful base in Huelva, and we would like to activate it to carry out tests with parachutes and other flight elements. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do, and that's something my partners have said, we want PLD Space to be the European space leader at a global level. Did you like that? Now we're going to show you what this technological demonstrator what it can be used for.
Pues
one day when the ESA General Director visited us, he said, "I'm surprised by what you did with MIURA 1. I'm extremely surprised regarding the pace you have with MIURA 5, and I'm sure it's going to be ready next year." But he said, "But what's your real ambition?" We were having dinner, and I looked at Ezequiel and I said, "Can I?" And he was okay. So I showed him this and something else, and the shock, the surprise in his face was amazing, and his words were "do it." And what we did with MIURA 5 in the last year, since we launched MIURA 1, we thought about what we're going to do or what's going to happen in the next 10 years of the space sector. So how are we going to contribute to the international market? And when we talk to our clients, they say, "I want to send this out to space, to orbit." And one day we said, "Why don't we build something bigger? And why don't we call it MIURA Next instead of MIURA 5? And we started working on it. And what we are showing you today is a family of heavy lift launches that in 10 years will cover 100% of the domestic launch capacity of a country.
Has been very impressive over the last 10 years in terms of development, and I can see a very clear path of how this develops into the future. So I really see PLD Space to grow up in terms of having increased payloads, larger payloads to be launched, MIURA 1, MIURA 5, MIURA Next, and maybe beyond. So I really see PLD Space to develop into a future heavy launcher for Europe, because I see that there are all the ingredients here, and I can only look forward for you to succeeding, because this is what Europe needs. We need companies like you, we need companies like PLD Space who are really coming up with new solutions for future launch opportunities. And me, as European Space Agency, I will be happy to buy your services, of course, at the right quality, at the right price, but this is exactly what I want to do, to be an anchor customer of future launch services provided by PLD Space.
Pues solo hicimos una cosa.
We only did one thing, and it was to tell him what our plans were. We had the opportunity more than 10 years ago to tell it to CDTI technicians what our idea was, and some people didn't believe it. And what we are doing is to explain what we want to do in 10 years' time. And the problem is that it is a very ambitious goal, and we have to cover 100% of the commercial world needs, of the world commercial needs, except for Russia and India. And this is going to be a bigger rocket, Russia and China. This is going to be a bigger rocket. This is going to be a little bit bigger with 2 stages as MIURA 5, using biokerosene and liquid oxygen with aluminum composite material, developing a new family of engines is going to be closed cycle oxygen-rich combustion engines, and they will enable us to send more than 13,000 tons to the ISS, 13 tons. And the different agencies and many companies are thinking about what's going to come after the ISS. 11,000 kilos of the SSO. And our goal is to have MIURA Next built for 2030. As Raul said, if we want to take it back to the launch pad, and this is something very important for you to understand, whether we talk about a Boeing plane or an Airbus plane, they land using the same system, whether it is Iberia or any other company. What SpaceX has done to bring the rockets back to the pad, it's the only way. The Soviet Union already tried to do that, and thanks to knowledge from the NASA and thanks to the knowledge of different companies, the plan was executed by SpaceX. And this allows to get to launch even 2 tons and to take the rocket back. That's the expensive part. There will be a user guide that we will use, and that will be our reference for the next few years. We will be able to develop a bigger launcher. MIURA 5 is going to serve the small satellites market. And other launchers have been developed in different parts of the world with a central core and boosters around it. So as I have already told you about the serial production of engines, this is going to help us having more rockets. For example, Russia had Angara 5, which had a bigger capacity, combining different rockets. It was a more powerful rocket, but the important thing is that we move from a purely commercial interest to a different league, and that's the capacity to launch to orbit. And this is going to be much higher than the capacity that Europe has ever had. And this seems something crazy, but in 10 years' time, I can assure you that this will be necessary because the States is already doing it, China is already doing it, and other countries are going to be working on it. So we're going to try to do that. 2 years after the first MIURA Next to cover a launch with this configuration. Here you can see the performance, more than 20 tons to orbit, and we're going to do that. We're going to try to do that. And if we use 4 boosters, the same rocket multiplied by 4, we will give Europe the ability to have one of the most powerful rockets of the world from a commercial point of view, apart from Starship and SLS from NASA. We will be able to send many tons to space, and we will be able to be part of the space race, and we will start thinking about the moon and Mars. Something that people have never said in the past or mentioned in the past. It can be 2035, it can be 2030, so MIURA Heavy will be one of the most powerful rockets in the world.
And as you could see in the video, to bring a rocket back has a different implication. When we talk about this payload capacity, that kind of vehicle that enables mankind to go somewhere else, there is an impact on price. We cannot offer a service that is sustainable in time from an environmental point of view, from an economic point of view. This can, if we don't bring it back, this image is a dream, but bringing rockets back to the pad is very important to be able to allow, because if there are more than 50 tons in orbit, it has to be sustainable regarding cost. We've worked on all this, and there's something else. Maybe the most important thing, and riskier and difficult to believe in, but we don't mind, because Raúl and I already faced a situation where we founded a rocket company where very few believed in us with very little money. And we also told this to the ESA General Director, and his reflection was, from 2006 to 2008, there was a European project called CSTS. It was a project for the development of crewed capacities in Europe. We invested 15 million euros, and the project fell apart. Didn't progress. So what will be after the new thing that we're going to do, and the following and the following? Well, we'll see this video now.
Ay, perdón. Dentro vídeo. Bueno, pues damas, caballeros.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, LINS project.
Nuestro astronauta particular, Martín.
We have Martín, young student from last year from high school. He's an astronaut. He wants to be an astronaut. So since we launched MIURA 1 in Huelva, you know that there's a magical animal that, I don't know if you can stop that. Otherwise, they're going to think that there's too much smoke. There's a lynx, a magical animal, lynx in Spanish, lince. And what we've done is to develop the first spacecraft, crewed or manned spacecraft in Europe. Please stop that there. And we've done it in order to provide space transportation after 2030 is going to be something very difficult, but for load and for human beings, sending them to orbit and bringing them back safe and sound to Earth. The aim is to have 4 or 5 seats using MIURA Next. Otherwise, with MIURA 5, it wouldn't be possible. 5 tons to orbit in a space where Martin is now. Well, there is a space of 8 square meters. We'll be able to transfer cubic meters. Mankind will not talk about the low orbit only. The aims that we've set for this first stage is the first orbital launch, making the most of the first launch of MIURA Next. And we launch 3 instrumented dummies or mannequins, like the ones we can see inside, to carry out this launch. This launch will be spend 3 days in orbit, and the spacecraft will be brought back, making the most of, depending on the weather, in the Atlantic or Mediterranean. What have we done in this last year? We've been working on the architecture of this spacecraft. What ESA did in 2008, we've repeated it now, and we've developed this engineering model. We've called it LINS Engineering Model 1. We've manufactured it as it should be manufactured, with real materials, and we've used the infrastructure of MIURA 5. We worked with a technological roadmap that is necessary for what do we need to do for Europe to have this capacity, this payload capacity. Europe hasn't thought about this, because when we talked with the ESA Director General, he said, go ahead and do it. Well, we're doing it. Until we have the first flight, how many models should we develop for different tests? Which is going to be the setup of this new vehicle that we've never really worked on? What are the milestones that we'll have, and how much is it going to cost? How are we going to fund it? If everything goes on correctly, we'll have a real test next year. We'll have a very similar spacecraft to this one, the second iteration. We'll do it as with MIURA 5, with a Chino helicopter to have the recovery by parachute. And we'll continue with this development. We're talking about 10-year development until we are capable of launching a load to the orbit and to check on the reliability of the system. We'll talk about launching people. What are we going to do in the short term, and how do we use MIURA 5 in this context? Well, MIURA 5 is going to be essential in the development of LINS. Why? Because it's going to be the battle horse for all the flight tests. In a first stage, as you see in the image, this will enable us to send this spacecraft. We'll be able to test the emergency abort tests to ensure that all systems work correctly. We cannot test it otherwise. So we're going to develop and use the MIURA 5 infrastructure to provide these launching services. And we think that we'll be able to do this in 2028. What we've told you today, MIURA 1, sorry, it was the beginning. MIURA 5 will enable us to be the company that Raúl and I dreamt of 12 years ago, and we're presenting you the company that we will exist in 10 years' time. Our team hasn't heard about this only for, well, maybe 40 people that have helped us work with this secret project recently. They know the difficulty of this endeavor and what we have ahead of us, but we are really happy, and we dare to lead European sovereignty in this regard. But we're doing it because we think we can do it. And I don't know if we'll be the first ones, but we're going to try it. Europe needs to have its own leadership. We see the position of the US, China, and there's a statement by Ordan that he said, if Europe doesn't have its own technological leadership, we'll end up being at the end of the line, at the end of the train. And we weren't born to be at the end of the line. We are here to lead, and everybody that knows us realizes this. And we want Europe to be competitive. This spacecraft is a dream now, but at some point it'll be a reality. And what we want is to have your support, rely on your support, like we had the support of a few in 2012 when Raúl and I founded the company. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and Mr. President.
Bien, como
As I anticipated, we were going to focus on the moon, and we did not want to stare at the finger. The vision that PLD Space is showing today for you to understand the situation that Europe is at regarding space, regarding the situation, means that the company has to be committed to work on it. We have Pedro, we have Sara, inside the spacecraft, there's Martin, we've got the next. We are talking about the beginning in 2011, where the position of Spain regarding space was very different. We're glad to have the local support. The mayor is here, the regional support with the support of the regional governments, the support from the ministry, all the support we're receiving. We're really thankful. We have a team. I want to listen to our team again. Raúl said, are we going to get it? Yeah, we're going to do so. We are determined to do so. We have the resources to be able to develop it. We are working on that technological development, and we are taking it into account in our budget as part of our roadmap. We are going to have all the support. And to finish off, I would like to invite the President of the Spanish Space Agency, the Ministry, Mrs. Moran.
Wow, no?
Wow. I don't need any papers. You just say wow, and we could stay here forever. It's amazing. Ezequiel, both Raúls, Mayor of Elche, State Secretary, General Secretary, astronauts, Pedro, Sara, President of Ispasat, dear Pedro, and the previous minister, the head of the Spanish Space Agency, authorities, representatives of the sector who are here, people from the media, and above all the staff of PLD Space. Congratulations. Our country is proud of you. We are very happy, and I'm moved, as most people here today in this room. I'm very happy to be here in these facilities, and I was glad to listen how the company was born and how it got to this point, and that you are still hungry for the future. You have started using these new facilities in the avant-garde. We have realized that you need more space. But of course we can talk about these facilities, and we can talk about why you're here. You are located in the Marie Curie Street. I think it's a very suitable name for this project. Marie Curie defined scientists as necessary dreamers for mankind. And she also said that dreamers, that is, scientists, needed a well-organized society to guarantee those dreams to become a reality in an efficient way with the necessary means. And I think that in this Marie Curie Street, in these facilities, we can say that scientists here, they're dreaming big, and that we have a society that's well organized for these dreams to become a reality. As it happened today, this day, a year ago, this dream, not just your dream, but Europe's dream, turn into reality. And as Raúl was saying, this is something we've been doing for the last year. We have that situation in our retina, the countdown, where in our Spanish Cape Canaveral, the MIURA 1 lifted off. There were some months where the weather wasn't favorable, but you did it in the first attempt. In the first attempt. And I want you to take that into account, because it wasn't just a simple liftoff for a rocket, it was the liftoff for a country. The future of Spain was lifting off. 2023 is an important, the 7th of October 2023 is an important date, but also in 1959 the first pictures of the hidden side of the moon were taken. So I think, and I'm the Minister of Science, this 7th of October has something kind of magical. And you discovered many things with that flight. You discovered that it's possible to fly in every part of the world, and that you can dream from every part of the world. You can dream from Elche. It's so nice to see the dreams of our Spanish, of the talent in Spain to become a reality. And you have turned Spain, you have placed Spain in the top 10 of countries that are capable of designing, manufacturing, and launching satellites. We already launched a suborbital rocket, and we are part of that top 10. Marie Curie mentioned that we needed scientists, and in this case, you are the dreamers, both Raúl's and the amount of staff with talent that has joined your project, not just from Spain, but from all the countries in the world that fell in love with PLD Space and with your project. They fell in love with MIURA 1, MIURA 5, LINS. I would like to highlight the role of Raúl Torres, Raúl Verdu, Ezequiel, and the University Miguel Hernández, public universities that are generating talent. And what's missing? What Marie Curie mentioned. What's missing is a well-organized society that can offer opportunities for talent. And I'm going to say that we are a better society than that society that expelled or rejected talent and they had to move to different countries. We are an organized society with important projects such as the such as CDTI. That's such a great organization that has worked hand by hand with PLD Space. You are a private project, and we are proud of being one of the main stakeholders, one of the main shareholders, of your project. But I would like to highlight that it's been very important to understand as a society that the public and private model is a successful model, that the state has to be an entrepreneur, that it has to invest in businesses because businesses need support, and we have built a better society together. And there's also been an essential factor, and it's been how we decided to fight against the the economic crisis. When many businesses didn't have the chance to look at the future, and it sent our talent abroad in many cases. And after the last crisis, that was during the pandemic, we started a resilience plan. It is a plan that is thought for us to transform thinking about the future and being more resilient. And this resilience and transformation plan, and one of the creators of this plan is Pedro Duque, who created that plan as a minister and who wrote down the dreams that many people had for many years. Today we see that that dream is a reality, and as part of that plan, that plan wanted to reflect the ambition of having a microsatellite launcher. So next year, you will have to give me the prototype with a ribbon, and then we will start launching as many MIURAs 5 as it may be necessary. We have devoted 40 million euros. When people say, where is this recovery plan? We cannot see it from SMEs, but you're saying that since you launched MIURA 1, your staff has doubled. So I'm glad this plan is useful, as it was our goal from the government of Spain. This plan divided into strategic plans like the space strategic plan with 4.5 thousand million euros with between public and private investment. So we're talking about recovery plans. We have heard about your plans. And the important thing is for plans to be successful. And I wish you all the best for the future. 13 years ago, a picture was taken out there, and Raúl said, what would I have thought about myself in the past? So from this stage, I can say that one of the things that is repeated in Europe, something that a word that is associated to you is that you are reliable. You have showed us this capsule, this spacecraft. And you do that because you work with rigor, in a rigorous way. And I'm sure you're going to get everything that you want to achieve. And I'm sure Spain will be located at a technological map, and because you are building and you are contributing to have a better Spain. This is something I was that I had already heard of. And what you were telling me about this, today we have heard many technical explanations about technological sovereignty that are very good. But when you, Raúl, told me that with MIURA 5 you have hired lots of people, and that those people needed a future beyond 2025, 2025 wasn't the end for you. I think that's the best goal you can have, to work for the people, for their future and for their jobs. Congratulations, and let's go for it.